I lifeguarded on and off for 22 years, and some days it'd be howling nor'easter and everyone's gone home and I'm there huddled up in my little tent or beach umbrella, and I loved every minute of it.
One day on the Gold Coast, the waves were just incredible. It was just surf all day, and I was literally high for 3 days afterwards. My body was just buzzing with this energy.
It pays my way in life. It's where I go to challenge myself. It's, I suppose, a bit of an escape from the realities of being on land. Without the ocean, I think I'd be a pretty depressed, pretty angry sort of guy.
I never ever thought about building up a surfboard business so I had a great career or a good income. It never entered my mind. The reason I wanted to build surfboards was because I wanted to go surfing.
Subconsciously, surfing's a part of me. It's in my heart. Dad's revolved his life around surfing. He may not talk a lot about it, but who Dad is, it just shines through and you can't help be affected by it, I guess.
I remember out at my farmhouse when I'd only been building boards, 6 months into Vela Surfboards, so a year into building boards. John Blanche, he'd moved back to Coffs at the time, and he came down to my farm one day and he was showing me this board and he was telling me about this aspect of the design and this aspect and this aspect, and I'm going, I can't believe that you can know this much about design. I mean, I didn't understand it. But as the years went by, I learnt more and more. My kids got the advantage where they were brought up with all that stuff just being fed to them, and Sage is just a whiz at it, He's right on to design in his 20s and knows everything I know, plus probably a little bit more because of his surfing ability.
Probably sounds strange, but when I'm surfing and when I'm making boards, it feels like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. There's a sense of rightness about it. And even though I get that sense of rightness, still very much for me, it's a bit of a love-hate relationship. There's times when I'm down the factory and probably prefer to be doing something else, when I'm covered in sanding dust or dripping resin all over my legs, and in the shower after work pulling out all the hairs off my arms and legs, stuff like that. But for everything I guess you do, there's a cost involved with it. It's the same with following something you love, but then again I wouldn't be that happy doing something else.
Sage started to get a desire to learn how to build surfboards, and he moved back from the Gold Coast to Vela. He didn't want to do an apprenticeship under my guidance particularly. He just wanted to go in there and shape and make it happen. And if he had a problem, then he would be happy to come and ask me how to fix it up. And one of the things I like about it, because he didn't do an apprenticeship under me, he's actually just gone out there and made stuff that are different to what's generally out there. He's got some sort of twist to them, or he's pulled something from the past and thrown it into a modern design, and it reminds me of when I started, and it's like coming up with an idea and putting it together and then just going out and surfing it.
Having Dad and Sage as shapers and them being so interested in the history of surfing and all the ins and outs of all styles of surfing has definitely given me a wider appreciation of surfing, and a lot of guys that I compete against are quite caught up in this, the 6 foot by 18.5 thruster and just doing 2 snaps and an air reverse. So I think there's a lot more to surfing than just that. I think that's where the state of the art surfing is at for sure, but there's a lot of other ways that I think surfing can be really enjoyable.
Growing up, Dad always encouraged Heath and I to be aware of our history. Even going out in the surf, I was encouraged to be respectful of the older surfers. There's so many different aspects within a surfboard design-wise you can look into. Most things have already been done. Most things that come out and seem new, they're not really new, they're just a reinvention of some sort, or a remelding of an old idea with a new idea.
You'll pick up a skill from riding in a lyre of just sort of hanging on and more feeling the wave instead of sort of trying to force your way around on a thruster. And the skills that you pick up and learn off that, I think you can transfer into other styles of surfing.
The more you experiment with different boards, the more you broaden your awareness of design. It allows you to help people in different ways. You're coming up with something that's going to allow them to surf the way they want to surf, for their age, for their fitness level, for how good a surfer they are, in the waves they want to ride. Having an understanding of different surfboard design for different aspects of history it all helps with that, you know. I don't think it ever ends. You just keep learning. I think that's self-evident in my father. My father's over 60. He still surfs every day. He's still as keen as he ever was. He's still got a very keen interest in surfboard design, and he still loves riding different boards. He'll be really excited some days because I've learnt something new, you know. And I just don't think it ever ends. It's just a journey. It's a process.
When I go down to the sea, when I get in the water, or when I surf, it makes me feel alive. I think it probably helps keep me young, or think I am anyway. I don't know, it's just a great place to play.